Yep. We are live. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
I have special guests.
Well, yeah.
My wife, who you know, most of you.
I'm very special. That's been established.
And we have a live studio audience. Tyler is here. So the reason why Tyler is here, other than the fact that he's a good friend of ours and our unofficial in-house mechanic, we were trying to solve an electrical issue in the Mustang earlier.
Or asking anything about cars.
But he also does
These need to go away.
does coaching with Kristen, normally on Tuesday nights while I'm teaching.
That's what I'm doing.
She and Tyler are coaching together.
I'm sometimes just hanging out.
But tonight's topic,
YouTube.
Yeah, you're interrupting me.
Sorry.
My genius here.
Oh, how dare I?
You're going to notice a different flow tonight, folks. But anyway, with the topic that we decided to talk about tonight, choice plus alignment equals magic. We thought it would be kind of fun, since Tyler's going to be here anyway, to have him in the audience. So in essence, we are kind of doing coaching with Tyler and with all of you, which there's not a huge number of you here, but that's okay. This is being recorded, and so it'll be available on YouTube and for free for all the people who can't join in on the 6 webinars that I'm teaching this week. So,
which is another reason for this.
Yeah.
I was like, let me write a webinar for you, or at least part of one.
Yeah. So a lot of this is actually written by Kristen and then tweaked by me just to save time, because I've been working on tomorrow's webinars today. So I'm going to switch over to the screen.
There it is.
There we are. Because you don't need to look at our mugs, my unshaven face.
I noticed that you decided not to shave.
I didn't shave. I didn't take time. So sorry, deal.
Deal.
All right. So we picked this topic tonight because it seems like everyone, including ourselves, gets hung up on this. You know, you hear people talking about how to manifest anything and live the life of your dreams and blah, blah, blah. You know, all of the normal rhetoric that we've all kind of become numb to. And we've taken it upon ourselves over the last probably year and a half, especially
hardcore last year and a half,
to find out what's what. You know, like, is all of this talk about manifesting the life of your dreams and all of that like legit, or is it all bullshit? Or
is it half legit and 3/4 bullshit?
You know, does it require us tapping our head and spinning around in circles and dancing a jig and citing the Lord's Prayer backwards, and then, you know, magic happens? Well, what we found out, and a lot of this came as downloads for me, and then I've been sharing a lot of it with Kristen, of course, but she's also been on her own path getting revelations. And so what we're going to be sharing tonight is a little bit, just a taste, if you will, of some of the insights that we've gotten around this topic, because A, we don't want to fire hose you. We'll save that for Nerd Unscripted. And B, it's pretty cool because what we've discovered in kind of working through our own crap is that
we have a lot of crap.
In every possible sense, that's true.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
But what we discovered is that we didn't know what we wanted.
We thought we did at first.
Lori says, "Oh, that's the problem. I didn't recite the prayer backwards."
Yeah,
see,
exactly.
That's why you're here tonight, Lori. You got to get the real insider secret.
Backwards while standing on your head, holding a Tektite in each hand.
Yeah, we got these Tektites.
Oh, my word.
Kristen can't handle them.
I can't. They're too much for me.
They're very, very energetic, and I have them sitting right in front of me. They're called Agni Manatites. Manatites? See, that's it. They're not womanatites. They're manatites.
Oh, my word.
They're from Java. They are
Not to be confused with the coffee.
they are incredibly
They
energetic.
kind of look like chunks of coal.
Kind of, yeah. They're tektites. You know,
Well,
they're
chunks.
from outer space, so
Yeah.
technically they're aliens.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Yeah. So anyway, enough of our banter. So we're going to share some really cool insights that I think are going to help you guys. I know that they've made a big difference in our lives. Just as a qualifier, I cannot guarantee that you won't get whacked up alongside the head, not by us,
Yeah.
but by what we're going to share, because some of it is kind of deep. Some of it is very challenging because it forces us to face our belief systems and all of that kind of stuff. But you'll find out. We don't actually have a lot of slides, but
we have a lot of stories.
it's condensed. So, hey, Ganty.
Hi, Ganty.
All right. So we're going to start off talking about choice. And this choice and alignment thing is something that I've been dealing with in my daily downloads in the mountains. And like those two things, and then this whole other thing that I've titled Beyond the Veil, which we're not going to talk about tonight at all.
No,
That'll be
for
Nerd
a
Unscripted.
whole nother webinar.
Yeah,
That's a rabbit hole.
it's hard.
We end up down there and it's going to be over.
Yeah. So what we have discovered, we all like to believe that we all have free will and that we can make whatever choice we want. You know, we can just choose.
And that we know what that choice is that we want to make.
Exactly. Unfortunately, that's a lie. It just isn't like that. You're controlled by programming that you've received ever since you were an infant. And so as a result, you have a lot of habits, a lot of belief systems. Some may be true, most probably aren't. And so what we found is that one of the reasons why we struggle so much when it comes to making choices is because we don't really know what we want. We say, oh, well, I want to have plenty of money. I want to have a nice car or whatever.
Yeah, but what
The
car?
job of my dreams. I want to travel all of the time. And, you know, it's easy to spit out things like that. But the reality is there's no definition there.
Mm-mm.
You know, I mean, think about it. You know, the powers that be are up there with their notepad and their Sharpie pen, and they're writing down and jotting everything
so
that you
he
say
wants
you
a
want.
comfortable life. Well, comfortable for someone over here might be a totally different definition than comfortable for someone across the world.
Exactly. And then, you know, so you're going along, you're feeling good. You're like, oh, well, I want this. And you get kind of specific, sort of, and all of this. And then somebody, you know, you're driving down the road and you're thinking about, you know, how good life is and all of that. And then somebody cuts you off on your road and it's like, damn it, this keeps happening to me over and over again. Oh, okay. Jot that down, you know, make sure that people keep cutting Tony off. And okay, so what else do you got? You know, and so it kind of goes like that. It kind of plays like that. And so when somebody corners you, especially the voices inside your head, who shall remain nameless, whenever they start challenging you with, so what do you really want? It's amazing how quickly we start stammering, and we just don't. I mean, we know, but we don't know.
We have an idea, but we are not being very specific with it.
Right. Now, what we often don't realize is that you're always making a choice. Okay, because not making a choice is making a choice.
You're just making it against something.
Yeah. And so we're choosing every single moment. Like you chose to be here tonight versus not be here, you know.
Positive choice, by the way.
Bunch of folks chose not to be here tonight, and it could be legit
and
reasons.
Some may not have been able to figure out if they wanted to be here or not and knew about it but weren't sure, but they made the choice.
Well, and I would like
they're
to
not
think that, you know, the folks who are here needed to be here.
Yeah.
And the
That's
folks,
usually how it works on.
And the folks
these
who
kind of
weren't
things.
supposed to be here tonight, we didn't want them anyway.
Not true. But a lot of
Party
the kind
poopers.
what we've learned in our own journeys with mindset type stuff, which is really what this is it's a mindset training, is that sometimes we're not ready to hear the thing that needs heard. And so we show up to the things that we're ready to hear.
Yeah.
We're ready to listen. And so whoever may not be here yet, or maybe listening to the replay, you just weren't ready yet.
Yeah.
Until
Well,
you're listening now.
and the other thing
And
about
that's totally
that is,
fine.
you may hear the thing that you need to hear, but in essence, it's like somebody turned the volume down completely because you don't have the context to process it. And so, what we are after is, instead of making random choices by default, like I often say through bumper pool, it just kind of bounces around, we make a choice for something. And it is a completely different energy than just living life by default, which many people do.
It's a reframing that we're going to bring up again later.
Right.
That by not making the choice, you are still making a choice. So you might as well make a choice for something, even if it's for doing A over doing B activity.
Right. And we're going to get into some more detail how this works, mechanics wise. So either way, we're talking about a choice, and these are out of order for whatever reason. And so indecisiveness or not choosing is the number one block to manifestation. We're just not clear. Now, you could say in some respects I'm talking about the law of attraction, but in reality I'm not. Some of the things are going to sound similar, but there are some differences that we've discovered. So if you don't know what you want, how will you ever get it? I mean, it's like saying,
and how will you know if you do get it that you gotten it?
Right.
If you didn't know what you want to begin with.
Exactly. It's like, we're planning on moving into full-time RVing at some time in the next year and a half. And let's say that, we have our rig and we're ready to hit the road and all of that. And I make the statement, man, I just love to see what's out there out west. Let's go out west. Well, we're in Pennsylvania.
Everything is west.
Out west is 3/4 of the damn country.
Yeah, your definition of out west may be a little different than my definition of out west. Like out west for me, we are starting in like Arkansas begins that, even though it doesn't, not for real. But.
Right. Thomas says that it's a little early on the West Coast. So
yeah, if we said West Coast, that would
like,
at least narrow it down a little bit.
Are we going to visit Thomas? I mean, is that the goal here? I'm not even sure where Thomas lives. It could be Washington, it could be Oregon, it could be California. I mean, who knows? He could be in Tijuana having a nice margarita right now, which would be great. And so, yeah, we're going west, but where are we going west? And so I don't know. Well, let's just see where the road takes us, which is how we often live life. Mm-hmm. How stupid is that? Where the road takes us.
You may end up in the middle of Kansas with no gas station.
And that would be a bad thing.
Might not be a good idea.
If you've ever driven across Kansas,
you do not want to be stuck in the wrong spot.
Yeah. So anyway,
if you don't at least have a GPS or a map for your life, you're just going to be flailing around wondering why stuff keeps happening to you, rather than taking charge and saying, this is what I want, right, and making that choice.
So a lot of us struggle with indecisiveness, and nobody's really immune to it. We all have it at one level or another, and usually the cause behind it is fear. It might be fear of the unknown or fear of success. What if I can't handle what I really want? Or what if I don't deserve what I really want?
A big one.
What if I fail? What will people think? Or, of course, the big comparison game of not measuring up to other people and their success, or others' expectations of you, or even the expectations you have of yourself. All of these are a big deal, and they're things that we all struggle with in one time or another. And so as a result, fear is what controls most of us.
It's paralyzing.
That's why, not to be political here, but that's why the government and the other powers that be use fear as a weapon against us.
It's also why
we're easy to control that way.
It's also why good salespeople use fear as a marketing tactic.
Right.
It's the only marketing tactic guaranteed to work 100% of the time.
Right. FOMO.
Either FOMO or scarcity.
Yeah.
They're both fear-based.
Fear of missing out.
It's ingrained in us.
And not that we ever use that, of course.
Never.
But
hey guys, it's a sales and marketing
tactic. We are
tactic.
salespeople.
You didn't know you were going to get marketing training here.
But in reality, that this is what's up, right? Mm-hmm. That we're controlled by fear in one form or another. I'd like to believe that I'm controlled by fear a whole lot less than I was 10, 15 years ago.
I would believe
And
that.
I think that the results kind of speak for themselves in my own life, but it's still there. It still
Uh-huh.
shows up in some very um, disappointing ways sometimes. Like, damn it, I got it wrong again, But that's where the difference is that we
Sorry, what Lori just said. So, marketers that are good marketers that are well aware of the whole FOMO and marketing tactic behind using fear appreciate it, recognize it, and go, man, that's really good. Now I got to buy the thing.
Yeah.
Like I did last night.
Yeah. Me too.
We're just like, man, the marketing on this is so brilliant.
Yeah. Don't think that we don't still invest in courses. Although these days, I can't speak for Kristen, but for me, I don't buy courses from other marketers.
Not really.
I'm not.
I have memberships to things like retail organizations
Yeah,
and stuff like that do courses.
I'm not interested in what they're doing. I mean, I'm investing in.
Yes, you did.
I'm investing in stuff like wire wrap jewelry, and
which I get to take too.
And the latest course on what is that on?
Psychic stuff.
Oh yeah, it's a course on psychic abilities. Like astral projection and all that kind of stuff.
That's gonna be interesting.
Sounds like a good time. Kristen says, "Don't get carried away with the astral projection stuff because I want you here.
I want you to come back, please."
So this is a quote that Kristen included that I think is very appropriate. Fear is excitement without the breath in it. And Therese Kennist is, she's been a coach to both of us. She's the one who leads the leadership retreat that we've gone to. And well, Kristen's gone to both of her retreats.
I've gone to 3 of them.
Total. I've gone to 1, but you probably have heard me talk about in the past where I was at this event, this retreat.
It's called Radical Leadership.
Radical Leadership.
It's awesome.
And the whole weekend, I'm like, this isn't working for me. This isn't working for me, and all of that. And I wasn't getting it. And so the last day, within the last hour or two, it was like my turn to be in the center of the group, basically to get dressed down by Therese.
She's awesome at that, but she does it with such love. You don't realize it's happening.
Yeah, and she called me out on my shit. I mean, in a very gasping the air out of the room by everyone else way. So it was challenging, we'll say, for me. But it's exactly what I needed, and she sensed that. And so she really dressed me down in front of everyone. And the cool thing about her doing that is that it gave me the breakthrough that I was there for, that I didn't think that I was going to get. And the transformation that happened as a result of her doing that was breathtaking, honestly. I mean, it changed everything in a good way.
Good breathtaking, not the fear breathtaking.
Yeah, within a week I did like 300 grand in my business and all of that kind of, I mean, like just
life changing.
A challenging relationship that I was in just went away on its own.
Amazing how that happens.
Yeah.
Another relationship showed up not long later.
Yeah.
Not that long later. One thing about this quote, though, is like I've been sitting with this quote for 9 years now, I believe, since my first RL retreat.
Probably.
About 9 years. And it's one of those things that just grows with me. It's so simple and yet so profound and so deep at the same time. And it's now something that I am consciously keeping aware of, because I used to have chronic panic attacks. I used to live in a place of fear and anxiety. And, I've been on drugs before for it, and I did not want to stay on those. So I, weaned myself off of them and stuff. But part of the reason why I was able to get off of those was because of this quote and because of Therese Kennist and Therese Sparby and Sparkins now, and what they taught me in these retreats. So, it sounds cool. Fear is excitement without the breath in it, but what does that mean? For me, it means that you're going to have fear regardless. It's there. It's an emotion. It's a human emotion. It's always there. It's something we learn from a very early age. It's something that's legit in most cases, because, growing up and stuff is like, well, I'm a baby. How am I supposed to eat? I'm hungry. Mommy's not feeding me. Fear begins then. Because then it's like, I'm going to starve to death, fight or flight. All that stuff is ingrained in us from a very early age. And yet fear and excitement are the same exact thing. Because if you breathe into fear, which we're going to talk about an exercise you can do a little bit further on here, if you breathe into fear, it can turn into excitement, which turns it from a major negative that's debilitating and keeps you from making any decision at all to, oh, wow, there's possibility here.
Yeah.
And once you step into that possibility, it's endless.
Yeah, it's kind of like the saying, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
So the secret here is that fear is learned. We're not born with it. And that means that if it's learned, it can be unlearned.
Yeah, even fight or flight is learned.
Yeah.
That's been ingrained in our DNA over time, but that doesn't mean that we're born with the fear of it. It means that we're born with the instinct to protect ourselves, which is different than living in the emotion of fear.
So we acknowledge the fact that we all have fear. So how do we beat it? I mean, that really is what it comes down to, because ultimately our goal for you and for ourselves is to be able to make the choices that we need to make and that
you want to make,
because one of the things that I've really become aware of over the last several months is, as I've been getting like a multitude of downloads and different things like that, and some insights and everything, is how much we actually know that we don't know that we know. And how it shows up is in our language, like little phrases that we say that we don't even realize what we're saying. It's like, well, that choice is really hard to make. And so
it's hard to make.
That's a fear-based statement, though, because the reality is that if you take fear out of the equation, it's not hard to make. You just make it. It's just that we have built up so much to make choices hard, when in reality, they don't need to be hard.
And we assign so much meaning and importance
and
to those choices, not realizing we're making a choice regardless.
Right. So it's important to recognize that fear keeps us focused on the past or worried about the future. And this is something that has been a very real part of my life. Like, I've not so much been drawn to the past, other than like genealogy research, but that's different. But my dad was very much focused on the past, because, he was the product of a rape, and he grew up, my grandmother moved away when he was young. And so my great grandmother raised him on the farm, and he would often cry missing his mom and all that kind of stuff, which, I mean, what child wouldn't do that? But by the same token, he never got over it. And so I can't tell you the number of times that he would recount those stories over and over and over again. And it affected his life. He was so focused on the past that he couldn't see where he was headed. I was one to be more of a future thinker, thinking about, what's next, or what am I going to do if this happens, or what if that happens, or whatever. And I never really understood what it meant to live in the moment, to live in the now. And so Kristen was talking about breathing into now to see where you are right now. That's, if it's something you've never done before, it can be challenging. At first. How I got past it, and some of you know this story, where back in 2012, well, actually back in 2011, I was struggling with this notion of living in the moment. I had no idea what it meant, but this idea came to me to take a photo of the sky every day for an entire year. I called it Skies 365, and I did it. I took a photo every day for the entire year. So the goal was to shoot 365 photos. I shot about 40,000.
That's about right.
I wanted to make sure I got it right, I guess. But anyway, it had a pretty profound effect on me because it forced me to be in the moment, to watch for the sunrise or the sunset, to see what the storm was doing. And not only that, to plan ahead so that I could get the good shot from a specific point in time, which meant I had to pay attention. And it really transformed my thought process regarding living in the moment. Now, my process is different. I still do daily routine type things, but now my primary routine is to drive up to the mountains, which is about a 20-minute drive from here. And usually I just sit there, and sometimes I listen. Once in a while, I'll take photos. Usually I sit there and write with downloads. It's typically where I get the downloads that I get. But it forces me to be in the moment. Like that hour and a half to 2 hours is sacred time to me.
Yeah, you're not thinking about your day and your to-do list and the stuff you need to do. You're not thinking about worrying about something that happened the day before and how it's going to affect you.
Right. I absolutely refuse to think of anything other than what I'm experiencing right then in the moment.
And that takes major self-discipline.
Yeah.
Like the whole living in the now thing is something I am still personally grasping myself. What I've done is when I start to feel the emotion of fear, basically my chest shutting down is how it manifests in me. And it's like the knot in your stomach, only I get it in my chest. And I start to feel like my breathing gets shallow. And that's why I wrote here, breathe into the now, because as soon as I notice those feelings, that's when I realize there's something I'm afraid of, either focusing on something in the past, like what if it happens again? It's happened before. We know it can happen again. To which Tony would always say, well, look at us now. We got through it, didn't we? We're still here. Or worried about, well, what if it doesn't work out? And then that tightness in my chest, I'm learning to recognize when it happens and then start breathing. Take a deep breath and then realize, where am I right now?
Right.
I'm sitting here on the couch enjoying a YouTube video with Tony. Okay, bring me back into the present moment. And that becomes something that has to become a habit. And the only way it can be habit is to become aware of it. And the only way you can be aware of it is start paying attention. We're going to talk a little more on that later.
Right. So to me, it's funny that Kristen wrote this out because I'm the one that preached this to her.
That's why I wrote it out.
For years.
You've preached it to me for 6 years.
But,
I wanted to put quotes around it and end it with Tony Leidig.
There's times when, she would come to me. I mean, we went through a lot of challenging times over the last 3 or 4 years, especially
with the retail stores.
Yeah. And she's like, what are we going to do? We don't have this money and we need to pay X by a certain period of time and blah, blah, blah.
In some cases, it was literally, we have $6,000 coming out of our checking account automatically in 5 minutes. What are we going to do? We don't have that money anywhere else. And I mean, that you can sense it in my voice, probably just talking about it. That's me. When I think about those moments, that's me starting to focus on the past. And I have to start breathing into that and go, okay, it's happened before. How did it turn out?
Right.
It always resolved itself one way, shape, or form. Was it as bad as you thought it would be? Well, when our account went negative by $9,000 because a customer made a mistake and typed in his area code as a quantity number on products, that freaked me out a little. That wasn't with retail, that was with my online business. But I was panic attack on the floor, full blown. I haven't had a panic attack like that. Oh, it was bad. And he talked me through it with this exact few questions.
Right.
Like, yes, this is bad, but if we take a step back and just breathe for a minute and realize I'm sitting here, I have food in the cupboard. I have food in the fridge. The mortgage is paid. The electric bill is paid. I'm not going to go homeless.
Well,
okay, now what?
And the thing
now
is,
what do we do?
If you think about it this way, which is how I usually think about it, like whenever you're a massive panic attack, freaking out, crying on the floor in a puddle.
It was pretty good, accurate
Do you really think that is going to net you a positive outcome?
Right.
There's no way. That's not going to help you. Mm-hmm. So you have to pull it together and think clearly. And one of the primary ways that I've always done that is, okay, like the comparison game. We faced similar things like this before, and yet here we are. I mean, yeah, we had to come up with thousands of dollars in a few minutes, but yet, you know what?
It happened
It happened.
every time.
Yeah, every single
Every
time we
single
face
time.
these
See, I look
impossible, ridiculous odds.
I look back at that now and I'm like, how the heck did that happen?
Right.
Like-
Well, it's because one of us wasn't in a puddle
Well, true.
crying.
I wasn't in a puddle crying every single time. It was just that one time. Crying, yes, but not in a puddle.
And so if being in full-blown fear and panic isn't going to serve you
Then what
and
will
get you through it, what will? What is going to get you at to point B, whatever that is? And see, here's the thing: you say, yeah, but blah blah blah. There's no scenario that you can present to me where this doesn't work. I mean, gunmen could be standing there pointing guns at you, and things work out. Understand that it is a choice. You always have a choice to think differently.
even if you feel like you have no other choice and you're being forced into one direction or another, which I have been there in legal situations and so on, you still have a choice.
Right.
It may not be one you want to make. It might not be a good one to in the moment. You may not think it's a good one, but you do still have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, we're still here.
Yeah.
And
Alive.
we're not in prison. We're dead.
Well, that's good.
And so there's a couple things that you can do that can be very helpful with this visualization exercise, if that's something that works for you, or you can also journal out your choices. We're going to take you through a real quick exercise. We're not going to make it full blown. This is something that you're really going to want to do in your own time, but we're going to give you the steps.
Yeah, this is something you'll want to screen cap the bullet points once they're all up,
or download the slides
or
once
download
I
the slides.
upload them.
Yeah.
So you start off with closing your eyes. And you can imagine your fear, even if it's not a specific fear. It depends on your circumstances or what's going on right
It's
now.
more imagine the feeling of it.
Right. So, if you're going through a stressful situation, feel the panic. It's okay. Feel the anxiety, feel your heart racing, all of those things. And now breathe deep and feel your lungs expand and focus on that breath. This isn't anything new.
No.
And it isn't anything weird or new age or anything like that. It's something that we're created to function within as a tool. So once you're focused on that breath, you can keep breathing, keep focusing on the breath until those panicky feelings subside into flutters.
And that will happen because your focus is no longer on the fear and anxiety.
Right.
It is now on the breathing in and out and your lungs expanding. That's why it works.
Yeah.
It shifts what you're thinking about.
And another thing that I often do is add in like gratitude statements.
Well, that's the next.
It's a couple down, probably.
It's kind of built into the next one. I didn't
So-
say gratitude, but it is.
Well, the thing that I like about gratitude, you can feel all the good things that could happen as a result of whatever you fear and breathe into that feeling. But with gratitude, like you might think, well, I have a hard time controlling my mind. Well, you can't speak and think at the same time.
No.
It's physically impossible. You just can't do it. And so whenever you're speaking thoughts of gratitude and speaking them out loud, your brain has to shut up. So you can't literally be in fear and speak gratitude simultaneously. You just can't do it. And so it helps to reset those panic feelings that you have, that gives you the ability to realign to the choices that you actually want to make. Whatever the thing is for you, or the position or the career, or whatever the case may be. Maybe it's a health issue or whatever, but picturing yourself with that. Okay.
And I do want to mention here the bullet point here about feel all the good things that could happen as a result of what you fear. That's kind of another way of saying what's the worst that can happen. Like, okay, so I don't get the promotion. Well, now what? It's like a so what, now what?
But see,
now you have a choice. And there could be good benefits to that. There could be something great that happens.
Well, and see, that's where it comes in to what we were talking about earlier, that most people don't know how to make a choice
Mhm.
because we get so fixated on the thing, that one thing, and we think, oh, well, if I have that, everything will be cool. If I get that job, or if I'm able to find that house or move to that city or whatever, then everything will be awesome. Uh, but what if it
The
isn't?
grass is always greener.
Yeah, what if it
What
isn't?
if it's brown and prickly?
Well, and the thing is, sometimes, you don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
And so we get, like I said, fixated on a certain thing, and then we get disappointed when it doesn't happen or it doesn't turn out the way we think. And then all the emotions happen and all of this. And it's this big drama, big thing, because many people are addicted to drama. And so they create it on demand. Um, and so then we get disappointed, and we have a good cry and all of
And
that
then it
kind of
goes
stuff.
cycles all the way back to this always happens to me,
This always happens to
which
me.
is what you basically visualize
And
to begin
then
with.
the life of your dreams, or the job of your dreams that you didn't even know you wanted, passes you by because you weren't paying attention,
Mhm.
because you were so stuck on this choice that you missed it. And we're all guilty of it. I don't want you to think that
Yeah.
we aren't.
But we have two different things that we've created that we didn't put into the slides here that well, I don't know if we created, but we picked them up from somewhere that help us when these situations happen. Instead of being like, oh, it has to be this thing, or else I'm just not going to make it, or this has to happen, or else I'm going to end up homeless on the street situation. I mean, that's a pretty extreme example, but if it's something that we really, really want and we've visualized it and we've gone through this whole exercise of feeling how we would feel when we achieve that thing or get that thing, because emotion is key to getting it. If it's not exactly what we were looking for or thought we were looking for, our mantra is this or something better.
Yeah.
And that keeps us
That's
from
a pretty
being,
common statement.
it is common. It keeps us from being attached. But the other thing that Tony and I tell our employees especially is everything is written in chalk.
Yeah.
We write it all in chalk in our minds so that if it doesn't happen, which a lot of times it doesn't because we've changed our mind or we chose a different direction or we got more information about it and decided, oh, maybe that really isn't for me. It's not about indecisiveness at that point. It's about taking control of being able to make a better decision.
Yeah. If you look at our business plans that we've
Oh,
written
my
out
word.
over the years, even just over the last couple of years, you would think we were schizophrenic. I mean, honestly, or bipolar,
Probably.
or both.
Bipolar business plans.
Bipolar schizophrenic. That's how our business plans have been because we keep changing them.
Yeah.
And so is it us not making a choice?
We're
Is
making choices in those moments.
Right. And so that's where the whole written in chalk thing kind of comes into play. Like at one point, we wanted to have a dinosaur museum and all of these other things. And we had a whole park mapped out at one point.
We have a marketing plan written for this thing. If anybody wants it.
And then we went retail and
which was actually part of that process.
Right. And we got, 2 years into retail and we were like, nope.
Maybe we should do this.
We ain't doing that.
And that's where the this or something better comes into play, because the something better for us is ending up to be a completely different direction that we didn't even see coming.
Yeah, you're just like hanging out in the mountains and all of a sudden this thought just kind of pops in your mind. What if you did this? Like, I never thought about that before. And then you start to kind of meditate on that and you realize I was born to do this.
And that actually is where this visualization exercise can really work, is once you get those little nuggets and downloads of, oh, I really could do this. That's a great idea. Go through the exercise of feeling it. It's all about feeling it. Feel the excitement of it. Feel the fear of it. Feel the unknown. Feel the joy of, and feel the gratitude.
Yeah, believe it or not, I actually go through this process even with the courses that I create. It's kind of holding them in my hand, so to speak, and just kind of weighing it out. And it's how do I feel about this?
And that's why sometimes he'll say, hey, I'm going to teach on this in the next couple of weeks. And then he doesn't for a couple months.
Yeah.
It's because the other ideas that came up for a reason.
And I have to pay attention to that and shift gears really quickly. I mean, I have entire courses that have finished sales pages and webinars.
Yeah.
And you
guys have no idea.
You have no idea. You've never even heard of them. And that's because I put all that time and effort into it. And then I'm sitting there with it. And it's like, you know what? I can't do this. This just doesn't feel right.
It's just not the time.
It may feel right 6 months from now.
Mhm.
It may never.
And almost every time that you do that, your students that show up for the training you did end up doing say, oh my word, this is exactly what I needed in this moment.
Exactly. And I mean, I like to have fun in my teaching. You know, I think that's evident. I don't just teach stuff to teach it. I have to love it too. I have to have a good time as well. Because if I don't, that excitement isn't going to come through, and it isn't going to connect with you. And, you know, it might be just a bunch of data, but I'm not here to just puke data all over the place on you guys. I mean, that's
That'd
just
be boring.
ridiculous.
So anyway, to finish out this whole visualization exercise thing, you want to take some, 3 deep breaths at the end of it and feel that flutter that started shift from worry and fear to excitement. If you can get your fear to shift and breathe into it so it becomes excitement, no matter what that excitement, where that takes you, you're going to shift your entire perspective about whatever thing that you're facing. I do want to tell a quick story about this. I have a friend going through this right now, and I actually shared this whole exercise and the fear is excitement without the breath in it quote with her. It was like 3 days ago, so it was very recent. She got word that she needs to move from here to my husband's being silly to Florida, and she hates Florida. She hates the heat. I love it, but she likes the cold for some really weird reason. But all that aside, she's facing having to move her family of 4 kids to Florida for her husband's job. And she was feeling so much fear and anxiety over it, total freak out mode. And that's when I shared with her the quote, fear is excitement without the breath in it. And I said, what would really happen? Are you stuck in Florida for the rest of your life? And she goes, probably not. I'm like, could it possibly open up other opportunities for you don't even see? Yeah. Do you think your kids would be in a good environment down there with the little bit of research that you've done on it? Yeah. Now, what about, where in Florida are you looking? And that's when she told me she was actually moving to where I grew up. And I about lost it because I got excited. And so I started telling her about all the cool things that are down there that our kids are going to love, that our family's going to love. And she's like, man, you're more excited about this than I am. And I said, you got excited about it, didn't you? And that's all it took. It took talking to someone else and breathing into it and sitting with it and realizing that this may not be such a bad thing after all.
Well, and didn't you say that their house sold in like 3 days?
Their house, she met with a realtor, put it up on the market. It had multiple showings, multiple offers, got into a bidding war, sold in less than 3 days with like 1 day's worth of showings. And so all the showings were in 1 day. And it sold for $15,000 over the asking price, which is a lot with how much she had paid down on it. They have some serious cash to work with.
Yeah. So like I said,
worked out.
sometimes you just don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but that shouldn't prevent you from making choices. And that part comes more into alignment, which we're going to get to in a minute. But another thing that you can do, and this is really important as well, is after the visualization exercise, get a journal and start writing.
And actually, you do this more than I do.
Yeah. I mean, what do you want your life to look like 3, 6, 9, 12 months from now? And you know what? It's okay to write it. It's not a quiz. And you don't have to worry about whether you're going to get it right or wrong.
You don't have to worry if things are going to change because they will.
They will change.
This is just to get your imagination going and start looking at possibility.
Right. Most gurus will have you journal your life in 5 years.
Yeah, they're like, where can you see yourself 5 years from now? And I've always thought that was bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going to be 5 months from now.
I know, like 5 minutes from now, I think works really well. But
I mean,
that's about how insightful
really
I can
not
be.
realistic, because when they say, visualize your life in 5 years, where do you want to be? You'll never aspire to reach those goals because it's impractical to really think that far out. with as much as stuff changes on a day-to-day basis in our lives today,
With the
nobody could have
exception of a-
predicted COVID except for a handful of people who pre-planned it.
Yeah.
There goes my little conspiracy theory hat. But no, really, we couldn't. How many people had to put their goals on hold, in some cases indefinitely, just because of what happened in 2020?
Right.
We don't know what the future holds, but we do have the ability to look at possibility for the next short-term future.
Right. Yeah.
And that helps make it happen too.
So even if you're not 100% specific, and don't think that that's what we mean by making choices.
It doesn't mean I want a 5-bedroom house with 3,200 square feet and 3 bathrooms, full bathrooms, a mother-in-law suite. You don't have to get that specific.
Yeah.
Blue walls.
The bigger goal
Gray
here
walls.
that you're after is how whatever those things are, or whatever those experiences are. Because, there's the material things, there's the experiences, there's connections, relationships, all of those things. What you're after is how those things make you feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the big secret here, is how you feel with it all. Because emotion is everything. It drives our choices. 80% of all of our decisions are based on emotions. And the other 20% happens from default or boredom.
It's logic in some cases.
Yeah. So the key is to turn your fear into excitement.
Yeah. Once you turn your fear into excitement, and because you're using emotion either way, either you're making your choice out of fear or you're making it out of excitement. One or the other.
And it's okay to call yourself out in some situations, or if you get divinely inspired in your journaling or whatever, and it's kicking you in the butt, write it down. Those thoughts are coming to you for a reason. It's like, oh,
yeah, there's no
crazy
excuse for not writing stuff down these days. We all have a computer in our pockets with the notes taking function.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a paper journal. You can talk it into your phone if you're driving, which I do.
I've written about 40,000 words on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Just journaling out things there. We're getting there.
Oh,
Thomas.
we're totally getting there, Thomas.
So as you repeat these exercises, you can get more specific with what you want, because clarity is going to come. And that is really the thing. You're moving your thought process from the jumbled up mess that it often is to a place of clarity. And it takes some getting used to, only because most of us have no idea what it means to have singular focus.
Yeah, the other day you looked at me and said, what you really need to do is get clear on what you want. And then the powers that be told you that about yourself just yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so that goes for both of us. But the clarity on what we want shifts and changes. It's a liquid. It's not a solid. It might even be a gas. Who knows? But it just keeps morphing and changing as we get more information. We're always getting input.
Well,
Always.
There's flow to it. And we think,
Yes,
well,
there's definitely flow.
if it's constantly flowing and changing, then how in the world could we ever make a right choice? Well, that's where, as you get more focused on understanding how this process works, your choices change.
Mm-hmm.
And that really is the key. Patience is part of it. And you also want to allow your excitement to shape the way. Because
allow positive feelings, positive emotions,
right,
to shape your way rather than the fearful emotions.
So to just kind of transition into the next part, alignment. One of the thoughts that I got while I was writing out these slides was this: choice, which we've just been talking about, is about transition. So we want to change from one thing to another, whatever the other thing is. But alignment is about position, which is why we have to make both. So we have to start off with choice. You could call it intention, you could call it whatever, because if we don't know what we want to choose, then we need to get very clear on what that is. But then once we make that choice, aligning to that thing is a shift in our position. Okay. And you can't have it both ways. Like you can make choices and not have alignment. I'm apparently really good at that.
No comment.
But It's one thing to make a choice. I am going to do 25 sit-ups every morning. And then on day 3, when your stomach hurts, you have a good reason why you're not going to do that. And so alignment is what keeps us at task once the choice is made. And you're aligning with the end result. So
you can make choices all day long, but if you're not aligned with what you really want in your heart and soul, and you don't have that defined, and I don't mean what you want as in what kind of car you want to drive. I mean what you want as far as how you want to feel, how you want your life to feel.
See, and the subtle difference here is that making choice based on feeling, and I don't mean like getting all hot and bothered and worked up. I mean like you in best case scenario. By making choice and alignment based on feeling versus things or circumstances or whatever, it allows you to shift and to flow, to go with the flow, right? We all say that. We've heard that for years, but yet
we don't really know what it means.
It's a spiritual principle that we don't even recognize. And so as we go with the flow, maybe it isn't the Mustang that you really need, or maybe it's just for a time. Maybe it's, something completely different. Who knows? And it's just a silly.
It was actually a dually.
Yeah, I mean, because we change too, and our needs change. So
our desires change.
So we have these choices that we consciously make, even if we don't feel like we're consciously making them. We are. But alignment is different. Alignment is subconscious. You could say that alignment has to do with habit, and you probably wouldn't be wrong, but I think it's much more than just a habit. But alignment is whenever like you say, you know what, I'll give you a really good example. It just popped into my mind. So Kristen, from the time that we got together, told me about this period of time in her life, which I knew her then during this period of time, where she decided to go eat raw food, and that was it. And she told me how it made her feel.
And I don't mean raw meat and sushi. I was eating vegan, raw vegan.
And, she'd tell me how much energy she had and how clear she was and how she lost weight and all this and that kind of stuff.
How much I missed it.
And
missed the feelings, not missed eating that way.
Right. And so fast forward to 4 months ago, and we were having these conversations, and, I was going to like doctor visits and not getting some of the best news that I preferred, and everything was elevated and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm faced with the prospect of having to go on meds and all kinds of things. And I didn't want that as a lifestyle, so I had to make a choice. And the choice was one that I never thought I'd make. And I've talked about this before.
I'm still a bit blown away by it.
But here's the thing. I made the choice. You could call it a quality decision. I made the choice that, fine, I'll do this vegan thing with you. I'm the cook.
Not raw vegan.
Not raw vegan, but
because I can't do raw
cook.
Vegan anymore.
But I'm the cook in the house. So me making this decision means I have to change what I prepare and what I buy and what I get to miss out on.
And it's a very, very big deal.
Yeah. And so, but it wasn't that I just made a choice, because if it was just a choice, I make choices all the time. We all do.
You would make the choice to be like, oh, I'm going to drink only water for a month. And all you did was chug Zevia and no water.
Yeah. And
you can make the choice all day long.
As soon as Kristen is working at the store and she's nowhere around to be found, I can run off and have myself a burger or a pizza.
Yeah.
So that's,
you could.
That's choice. Alignment is subconscious. Alignment says it's done. I'm vegan now, whatever that means. I don't even know what it means half the time, but I'm learning. And it's changed how I buy food.
Well, as Eamon and Beck say, plant-based nutrition.
Yeah, it changed how I buy food. It changes how I cook food. It changes how I eat food.
It even changes how you taste food.
It completely changed my entire food experience. And now that we're 4 months into this process, will we do it the rest of our lives? Who knows? I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about what I'm eating, the chana masala, as soon as we wrap this webinar, right?
Which I ate right before, and it was delicious.
It always is.
Mhm.
But I'm aligned to a position that you can't budge me on. It
Mhm.
is what it is. And that's what we're talking about, the difference between choice and an alignment. Alignment is where we need to get. Alignment means that you lock yourself into a desired outcome even before you manifest it, as if it's already done. And you've probably heard this before, whether you were in church or law of attraction, whatever. But here's the subtle difference. You may not see it. You may not be experiencing it. You may not be feeling it, but that has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that it is already done, because it is. Maybe not in your current awareness, maybe not even in your current reality, but it's done.
Yeah,
It
like
already
your
exists.
numbers being down,
Yeah.
and me having more energy and me sleeping better, like all of that, my skin clearing up.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
just to
all
go,
of that was already done. Like, I knew that was the result that I was going to get. So by aligning with that result, now we've
experienced
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And to go full quantum physics on you for a minute,
I knew you were going to go there.
there are multiple realities, it's proven. And so that means that there's a reality where you crash and burn, and there's a reality where you experience your greatest success. So why not just choose a different outcome?
Yeah, choose
Because they
success.
all already exist. It's
every possibility already exists.
multiple
You
downloads
get
that
to
I've gotten.
choose which one to align to.
Yeah, multiple downloads that I've gotten, from the voices in my head. I have names.
Uh-huh.
I'll share them on Nerd Unscripted. But I've been told multiple times, why are you stressing over this? Which actually I don't really stress much, but why are you obsessed about this one thing? Because you can make a different choice, because the outcome that you want already exists. Like, I can see it.
All you have to do is make the choice for that outcome.
Yeah, you can't see it yet, but I can, and I'm telling you it's there. And it really changed how I view things. And so, just like with choice, you're always aligning with something, either for you or against you, but you're always aligning. You're always in a position. So you want to change your position, just like we're changing our choices. And so what you choose and align with consciously and subconsciously is what you manifest. One of the things that I heard years ago, and I don't remember who said it, it wasn't me. It might have been Joe Vitale, actually, or T. Harv Eker, one of those guys that I was reading, Bob Proctor, I don't know.
Say Proctor, maybe.
If you want to really understand what you're manifesting right now, take a look at your life right now.
Yeah.
Like, look at your bank account.
I was just going to say that.
Look at your bank account right now. Like, you can name it and claim it all you want.
Stuff around you. Look at your relationships, the people that are in your life.
Yeah. It's a reality check. Because we don't want to face reality. Like, it's much easier to be delusional or blame shifting or whatever, and think, oh, well, life is good when it's not. And so we can place our blame elsewhere. And I'll tell you something else. And this may go against what some of you believe, but I feel inspired to say it. So I'm just going to say it. Nobody's coming to rescue you. Okay? It's not going to happen. Aliens aren't going to come. Religious figures are not going to come. Nobody's coming to rescue you. It's up to you and I to rescue ourselves. That's how the universe actually works. Okay? So by you sitting around doing nothing, thinking that something or someone or whatever is going to come and save you out of a scenario, what exactly are you doing? You're doing nothing. So where are you aligned?
You're choosing to stay stuck because you're expecting to be saved.
Yeah. And you know what? If it happens anyway, awesome.
But in the meantime, what kind of life is that?
Yeah.
Sit around just waiting for someone to come and rescue you. I mean, that's just like Rapunzel in the tower.
Yeah. So that is a bit of a reality shift. I have a couple of those sprinkled in. So, knowing that you're aligned, you really want to start paying attention to your thoughts. We said the same thing with regard to choice, but you want to pay attention to your thoughts. What are you thinking
And
right
that's
now?
easier said than done.
It
by the
is.
way.
But
It was
you can
preached
still
to
do
me
it.
for years and years, and I finally, I believe, in the last year, figured out what it means.
Yeah.
And figured out how to do it.
Like, what do you think about the most? And I'm not necessarily talking about pizza, because I thought about pizza a lot.
Do your thoughts revolve around how am I going to pay this bill? Or are they, how am I going to get more customers? Or are your thoughts instead something like, what kind of idea can I come up with to make this happen?
Right.
You know, what creative inspired idea can I get? Where can I go to learn XYZ?
Well, and see, that's one of the reasons why I pay attention to a lot of this stuff, because like I mentioned earlier with the courses, I have to enjoy them. But at the same time, I'm smart enough to recognize that some of the inspired ideas that I get for courses are for you guys. Like some or one or several of you are looking for something that you can connect to from a business perspective, and you don't know what it is. And so I feel part of my job as a teacher is to push into ideas to where not only are they just for me, I mean, I certainly benefit from them because of the research and the prep and teaching and all of that, but it's, what do you guys need? You know, and I mean, many of you have followed me for years and years, and I'm so grateful for that. But within that, like, I don't know what your day-to-day is like. I don't know what you really need or what your choices are. But you know what? I don't need to, because I'm plugged into sources that know, you know, the powers that be, AKA the voices in my head. And so I get these weird ideas, and it's like, I don't know. It's, oh, I don't really know that I feel like I need to teach this right now. And then 5 minutes later, I get a private message on Facebook. Hey, have you seen this? Holy shit. Oh my God. That's my next thing, you know, and that's just kind of the way it goes for me. And so as you're paying attention to your own thoughts, you know, are they fear-based? Is it based on worry? Or are you hopeful or excited? And you know what? If you're only hopeful or excited with one thing out of your entire life, put your focus there.
Yeah.
Because it spreads, it grows, everything grows.
If you can find one positive thing, like my example of the gal moving to Florida, if she can find one positive thing about that experience, whether it's something for her kids, an opportunity, whatever, then it's going to lead to more positive things if she focuses on that one thing. If you're not focused on that positive thing and you allow the worry and the fear to creep back in, because that's what it tends to do, then you're not going to be manifesting more positive things. And that's really the major shift that needs to happen. You have to align to the positive emotions of things rather than the negative. If you learn that alignment, then becoming aware, like right here, awareness is the key to alignment and manifestation. This was the piece that I'd heard but didn't really understand for many years. I'd heard it over and over again. Pay attention to your thoughts. Take your thoughts captive. I mean, literally, since the day of my birth, this has been preached at me, like literally preached. So I didn't understand it, though. I didn't really understand until this last year when we went through a lot of major key decisions, that how to be aware of each individual thought. And really, it's not about being aware of your thoughts. That's where I was getting hung up. I was like, oh, well, I have to know what I'm thinking at all times. And sometimes the thought just happens and I can't stop it. So what then? And we had those discussions. I'm like, I can't focus on my thoughts and change them because they're already there. Well, it's not about that. It's about the emotion behind it. It's the feeling. If I can become aware of how I'm feeling, then I start recognizing the thoughts causing those feelings. And that is where you can take your power back and say, oh, I can make a change here. I can choose differently. And as soon as you recognize you can choose differently, the entire world shifts.
Yeah. And let me give you a little example. We've talked about this a little bit, not a lot. Go back in time a little bit to 2019. We had closed the toy box and we were primarily focused on Nerdvana. Nerdvana was being worked by a couple employees. We had a couple employees who were working there who were way overpaid, our fault.
Yeah.
And they weren't doing a great job.
They weren't working.
Nerdvana was averaging $4,000 to $5,000 a month in 2019.
Really, in spite of itself.
In spite of itself, we making $4,000 to $5,000 a month, which, by the way, isn't enough to go black.
That's not enough to pay the bills or
Right.
keep the lights on.
Especially with the payroll that we had.
Right.
So fast forward slightly to the beginning of 2020, January. The 2 employees that we had.
Now, mind you, I went through a bit of a freak out period over this. I was like in panic mode, anxiety attacks. How can we make this work? What can we do to fix the employee situation?
Well, and not only that, yours truly was funding all of that.
Yeah.
And so
Expert Media Business was paying for it.
So it put pressure on me as well. So get to the end of January of 2020 and both employees quit.
Yeah. It solved itself.
And then COVID happened.
Well, then I decided, oh, well, I've just sold my online business. Let me go full-time with the store and jump full-time into retail. And the next month, everything shuts down.
Yeah. So the store was closed for 3 months. And so
it was
we have no employees. We were only doing $4,000 or $5,000 a month. So we weren't even breaking even. And now we had to close completely, which meant 0 sales.
Yep.
And so,
because we didn't have the website or anything yet.
Right. And so that really, I mean, talk about living in the now, that brings reality home real quick.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of long conversations. Do we cut and run, or?
And the problem was we still had 3 years on our lease.
Yeah. So we weren't quite sure what we wanted to do. And so we decided to give it a go, and Kristen kicked into high gear and built out the website. And we had a couple of our regular customers who bought some stuff on there because we offer delivery and those kinds of things. But it certainly wasn't anywhere near what we needed to make per month. No. And so finally, the COVID restrictions lifted after 3 months, and we were able to open, like pretty much the rest of the country. And something very interesting happened. First of all, Kristen was a bit stressed because we needed employees, because she didn't want to have to work it all the time. And where are we going to find employees? And nobody's going to blah, 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 the routine. And all of a sudden, these employees show up. And they're uber nerds. They're young. They're paid at a more proper rate than what the previous ones were. And something started to happen. Our sales started to pick up at the store. And so by the time we get to the end of 2020, Nerdvana had earned 2.5 times what it earned the previous year with being closed for 3 months.
That's 25% of the year for those of you who math.
Yeah. So on only 3/4 of the year, we out earned all of 2019 by 2.5 times. Fast forward into 2021, right? So now, where we were earning $4,000 to $5,000 per month, we are now making 12 to 15 per month. So this year is up over last year, even more. We only had 1 month, August, where our entire customer base decided to go on vacation to Florida.
They totally did.
And our sales dropped by
over 40%.
Over 40%.
And then we had another conversation. So
we're not immune to this, but the point is, we didn't know what we didn't know. We weren't clear on what we really wanted B. And so as that clarity started to come, did we do this magical something that automatically 2x'd or 3x'd our sales? No, we actually didn't do anything. It just happened. It's like, oh, well, maybe you just, people started spreading the word or whatever. That's what we would have thought after being there for 2 years,
right?
Except that it didn't happen.
We still have a solid, as of today, this past month, last 30 days, 67% of our customers are still first time.
Yeah.
New.
So you want to know what happened? You want to know what changed? We did.
Yep.
we changed. We started making different choices. We started moving into a different emotional response toward the store than what we had previously.
And we still are. We're in the midst of this. Like,
Yeah.
this is a process.
And we started aligning to something different than what we were aligned to before.
Mhm.
And that's what changed things. You can't point to, oh, well, you ran that Facebook ad or you had this event.
No, there's
and
nothing that we actually
There's
did.
nothing
There's
like
no
that.
tactic or marketing strategy
Right.
that we did that actually made
I'd
this
love to
happen.
tell you that there was, because we teach a course on it, but
We'd totally teach
that
a
course
on
isn't
it.
coming because that isn't what happened.
It does not. You get this instead.
Right. So your choice first, and you have to visualize it, you have to feel it. And ultimately, that's what we had to come to. We had to make the decision, we're going to make a go of this.
Mm-hmm. And what would it feel like if it succeeded beyond our wildest expectations? And
Right.
that's what I started living into personally, was that feeling.
Yeah, because we stepped into Nerdvana as a way of hopefully saving Toy Box.
Yeah.
And some of you may remember Toy Box Gifts and Wonder, as much as we like that store, we lost $700,000 off of that store. Store.
Who's keeping track?
Yeah. Tony lost $700,000.
I lost 200,000. You lost 570.
Who's counting? Actually, I am.
You're totally counting.
I'm not. See, but I could hold on to that and it would stunt where I'm heading.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could let it go. Not that it's like, oh, well, money, it's only money. It can go whatever.
Oh, it's only money and it's money.
No. I
weight
can't
to it.
take that position,
No.
Or else, it's like, oh, well, fine. Then
It's
I
not
guess you
like
don't
a
need it
frivolous
anymore.
thing. Oh, well, we're just going to throw it all away.
No, there were a
It's not
lot
that
of
at
holy
all.
shit moments. I mean, you better believe it, but still. So you want to write your choices down in a place that you're going to see every day. Vision boards are awesome for this.
Even if it's just a choice of how you want to feel.
Yeah.
How you want your lifestyle to make you feel. More freedom, more choice in spending time with your family, stuff like that.
Right. And I mean, as you start to dial into this and tune into this,
you're going to get much more specific.
You're going to get more specific. And if you're not doing anything with it, you're going to get called out. Mm-hmm. It may be how the thought just happens to cross your mind, or you're driving along and you catch a billboard and it reminds you of the thing that you haven't done yet or whatever. It's kind of uncanny how that all works. But,
yep.
You have like eagles fly down and fly in front of you for 5 miles as you're driving. And I mean, just weird things like that. And so every time a contradictory thought pops up, and it will happen, mm-hmm. guaranteed.
Contradictory to your choice.
You want to catch it.
And again, that goes back to how you're feeling. Sometimes you don't realize that thought's even there until it's passed through.
Right.
So pay attention to how you're feeling, and that will help you pay attention to your thoughts.
Exactly. So reframe negative thoughts toward your desires. For example, I can't versus I choose to. It seems so subtle, but yet it's actually incredibly powerful. Just a little semantic change like that.
The humans live in this space of I can't afford that. I can't do that. I don't have time for this. When actually, if we just reframe it, it can be the same exact result as far as what you're meaning. Like, I can't afford that is I choose not to buy that right now.
Yeah.
But I feel how different that feels. Like, try it on. Say it yourself with an I can't that you've said recently, and then reframe that to the words I choose to. I choose to do something else instead.
Yeah, I mean, I get asked all the time, even from some of you guys, my customers, how on earth do you get so much done? Like in a day. It's
I can't possibly do as much as you can. Well, you choose not to. You choose to do other things with your time.
I mean, you need to understand, and I've said this before, I'm incredibly focused, mm-hmm. and
you're vegan now.
And I'm a bit obsessive compulsive.
A bit.
So I can't, like, when something is stuck in my head, I gotta go with it until it's not stuck in my head anymore. Mm-hmm. Plus, I'm also very disciplined now, didn't used to be, with the things that are currently important to me anyway, which, like sit-ups and push-ups are not. So
you mentioned doing yoga the other day, and I about hit the floor.
That was a joke.
You said it awfully seriously.
Dude, I mean, seriously, can you all imagine me doing yoga? I mean,
actually, I can. You've done it before.
Huh?
You've done it before, haven't you?
Well, yeah, it years ago when I was dating Susan,
Oh,
practically
yeah,
killed me.
'cause
I
a
think she
girl
had
made him do it.
no, I think she had an ulterior motive.
Note to all of you, I don't make this man do anything. I'm just saying. I'll hint for years about stuff, but I don't force him into
I'm really
anything.
hungry. What were you thinking about tonight? Like, pizza. So anyway, moving along.
My personal trainer is listening in, and she just messaged me. He mentioned yoga. Laughing faces.
Oh, Tina.
Yes,
no,
Tina.
I did not.
Apparently, he was just joking. I don't think he was.
I exercise my sexy brain.
Well, there is that. He does have a sexy brain.
All right. So this process takes time until you discover how to collapse time.
And that's a whole, he put that in there. I'm like, don't go down that rabbit hole.
We're going to talk about that. This is something I've been experimenting with.
Not in this webinar.
Not tonight. But
Nerd Unscripted. Tune into that.
I think I figured it out. How to collapse time.
Yeah, he's so excited about this.
It's crazy.
These are the things I get to hear.
It actually
Every day.
works. It takes time to heal from layers and walls that you build up. I mean, think about it. Like, I'm turning 60 next year. So I've had however many years of practice doing things in a way that wasn't beneficial necessarily to my future and to my present. And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to figure these things out and make new choices and align in new ways. Now, this is actually where collapsing time can come in. We think, well, holy cow, I've gotten it wrong for 59 years of my life. How could I possibly shift, the odds in my favor? I don't have another 59 years to figure this out. You don't need another 59 years.
You may only.
I mean, hell,
need a few minutes.
you may need 5 minutes.
Yep.
To make the shift. And that's part of time collapse, by the way. So we make things harder than they need to be. We build this whole big structure up around our decisions, and we think, I'm never going to be able to get this.
And this structure is there for a reason. Now, don't look at the structure and think that it's all evil and bad and it's done nothing but hurt you. The fact is, you've built layers and walls through, and around your indecisiveness and through indecisiveness because it helped you at some point in time. Those layers and walls protected you from something until they don't. And that is where you have to ask yourself, what benefit are you gaining from keeping them?
Now you're reading ahead.
Which, by the way, Radical Leadership.
It's actually on
that. I just read it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because if you're doing something, sorry, I only wrote the slides.
I wrote them, you copied and pasted and then rewrote them.
True. So if there's something that is not beneficial to you in your life, and you think, well, I don't know why this keeps happening to me, or I don't know, it's like a repeating cycle or whatever. Why do I keep getting the wrong guy? Or whatever the case may be. I went through that with dating,
Not guys, though.
No, just insane women.
Psychotic women.
But, why does this keep happening to me? Well, whenever you see repeating cycles, even though you claim and swear up and down that you would never want to do this on purpose to yourself,
which you may not.
You may not at a conscious level.
But subconsciously.
Right. And so you're getting something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
The drama or whatever.
Being the martyr.
Maybe it's acknowledgement. Maybe you saving the day makes you feel like a superhero, which was one of my issues years ago.
Maybe it's being the center of attention, which was mine.
Right. It could be any number of things. But if it's there and you don't know why it's there, you're getting something out of it. You may not be aware of what it is, but you're getting something out of it. And so then how to shift from that is, I wonder what my life would be like if that was no longer an issue, if that was no longer a part of my life. If I said no, instead of saying, okay, fine, what would life feel like if you said no, so it's time to learn how to choose. And as we said, this isn't something you're going to get overnight. It's definitely practice makes better. I could say that it's hard, but that's actually not true. It's actually easy. We make it hard. You could get it immediately. and say, you know what, this really inspired me. Boom, I'm done. And you move straight from choice into alignment, which is how it went with the whole vegan thing for me.
And
I,
sorry.
I would love to say that all my choices were that easy, that I aligned that quickly. And
I don't
it's just
think you
not
aligned
true.
quickly to the vegan thing.
Well, when we made the decision to call it, and then
When we made the decision to call it, it was game on.
Right.
But the leading up to that,
and then of course, you know,
this is double. It's both. It takes time to learn how to choose, and it's time to learn how to choose. So it took time to learn how to choose to be vegan.
right.
And then once you made the choice, it was like, okay, it's time.
And so within weeks, we get invited to like a 4th of July party at friends' house.
Yeah, literally within a
Cookout
couple
and
weeks.
all that.
Like 2 weeks later.
Smelling those.
We're going, what are we going to do about burgers? We don't know anything about fake meat.
Yeah. It was an adjustment, but we survived.
Actually, if it weren't for the fact of that we made that decision and we did go, vegan and
It's
stuff.
been doing that.
That's
lately.
weird. There's a lot of food that we would not have discovered. That's freaking delicious.
So it's time to figure out what you want, which is your choice, and be flexible for the necessary changes that will need to take place, which is alignment. And there's a quote that I've shared before, and it came to mind, so I'm going to share it again. And I'm not going to say it exact because I don't remember exactly how it goes, but it was made by Jack Canfield. And he said, when we identify something that we want to accomplish, it's important for us to ask, who is the person I need to become to make that happen?
Mm-hmm.
Because it ain't you now.
Nope.
Because if it was you now, it would be happening. And so there's always change that is going to need to take place. And there's no need to fear that change. Some of it may be uncomfortable. Some of it may require you to face things that you've done a really good job at deflecting.
Or burying.
And sometimes you may not even know what those things are. And that's okay. They'll come out when they need to, the whole layer of onions thing. But the important thing is to make the choice and say, you know what, no matter what, I want this to happen in my life, and align to that decision, and then be flexible. It doesn't, we're not all like Sheldon on
having a bathroom schedule.
Yeah. From Big Bang Theory, where everything has to be just so exactly the same every single time. Like that doesn't work.
Because we can't stand change.
Right.
Because the fact is the fear of change will always be there until the fear, and we won't change until the fear of staying the same becomes greater.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at your life right now, and maybe you figured a lot of this out already, and maybe you love the way things are right now, and that's awesome. I mean, I'm a firm believer that you should always push into what's next while living in the moment.
But that's also where the gratitude comes into play.
Right. But chances are likely that most of you have some area of your life that's as screwed up as ours is. And so as a result, do we want to stay that way, or do we want to move into something that's greater? Like I shared toward the beginning that, one of the things that we've been focused on lately is moving into full-time RV life in 16 months or so. And I'll still be teaching and all of that kind of stuff, just from a different place every week. But we, that's what we used to do, not RV, but we traveled all the time. We both basically lived on the road before we got together. And when we first got together, and honestly, we miss it. Mm-hmm. We miss the travel and seeing new areas and meeting new people and all of that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of other things that we want to accomplish in our life. And so, rewind a year or two, we wanted a freaking dinosaur park. We wanted
to permanently dig our feet into an actual physical place.
Yeah, we wanted 5,000 square foot house instead of 300 and whatever square feet. There's all of those things. And you know what? They serve their purpose for the time. And so be flexible for the necessary changes that will need to take place. For us, getting rid of 95% of our stuff is part of that necessary change. Yeah. And it's not easy. I'll tell you what. I mean, it's been interesting.
I haven't published the YouTube video yet, but we did make a video about this for our new YouTube channel. I was waiting for you to see that. Sorry, we're cracking up over here because of Ganti.
Chickpea soup for the soul. That's awesome. That's hilarious.
I think Jack Canfield needs to write that next. Chickpea soup for the soul, for the vegan soul. No, we need to do a parody book.
That'd be hilarious.
We totally need to do chickpea soup for the vegan soul.
My word.
That would be hilarious.
That's awesome.
Get Eamon and Beck and a few other YouTubers to
Yeah. Do you have any last thoughts?
No, I think that's...
So if you have any
Well,
comments or questions, feel free to post those. I am going to show you the last slide in an obligatory fashion, and that is the course that we're doing tomorrow. AR creation, the next level. I spent most of the day working on the slides, and I can't wait.
Is that from the other program?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. That's
So we're doing it all tomorrow. 1 day workshop, 3 modules, 10, 1, and 4 p.m. It's going to be an awesome marathon. I'm looking forward to it. I may not be able to speak by the time we get done, but my goal...
By the end of the last module, you're going to be dead.
I'll be not dead, but
Well, you
I'll be
know.
drinking a lot of water.
You'll have to send me proof of life downstairs.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, it's going to be a blast. There's some things I can't share, but
Like everything that's not on the
like
slide.
all the modules are going to be really a lot of fun. Some brand new
Guys,
AI stuff
the
I've never
stuff
talked about
that he
before.
has shown me that's come out of this process, and he found some really cool new processes combining a couple things.
Yeah, it's going to be
Game changer.
awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
60% raw and 40% cooked. I think you could do it.
That's kind of what we're doing now, sort of. Maybe 20%, or no, we're doing 60% cooked, 40%.
Yeah, we're probably the other way around.
The reason raw vegan didn't work for me is because I am allergic to gluten and nuts. And dairy doesn't really agree with me either, which is why vegan works really well for me. So I was not getting protein, and I was doing karate 6 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
So it was just too much for my body. I could not keep the protein intake up, because back then, we're talking 10 years ago, there were no pea protein alternatives. The plant-based protein was nut-based, almond. That was it.
Yeah.
So I decided if I ever did it again, I was going to have to do it cooked and do cooked vegan. That way I can get chickpea and pea protein and all lentils and all the other stuff that's out there with, because, nuts will kill me and all that. So that's why I do it. Now, that being said, the more the cooked food, the less weight that comes off as quickly, at least for me. But I'm also female.
My body don't care.
Women just don't lose weight quite like guys do. But
so
my issue is actually more my sugar
so in
addiction.
reality, we're vegan and gluten free
Yep.
and nut free
Yep.
and all of the frees.
free.
I don't need to be. I'm not allergic to nuts. I'm not allergic to gluten or anything like that.
You do have
like
a
she
few
is.
things with gluten.
Once in a great while, I will, but
not a lot.
I've really shifted our buying habits a lot so that it aligns with her. Because I don't want to cook 2 different things or eat something
And
that
I'm
has gluten in
actually
it.
like 90% soy free too, so no tofu.
Yeah.
So that
Occasionally we will.
There's
but
one
very, very
there's
rare.
one fake chicken that we found that's pretty good, but it does
It's tofu based, but
it does make me feel a little funny when I have too much of it.
yeah.
So yeah, as far as like what I think about it, I feel amazing. It's not for everybody, but I could live this way the rest of my life. Now, will I? Maybe not. Ganti, why nut free? Because nuts will kill me.
She's allergic to tree nuts,
Yeah, cashews, almonds, pecans.
which kind of sucks because I
walnuts,
love
pine
cashews
nuts.
and walnuts.
Cashews are the ones that'll kill me like that, like EpiPen. I need to have, I'll go into anaphylactic shock with those. So cashews are not allowed in our house. I'm sorry. One time he got chocolate covered cashews and I about flipped my lid. When we first started dating, it freaked me out because I do go into panic mode with that because it can kill me. So I made him eat them fast and get rid of them. And my protein source is mostly pea protein, lentils, chickpeas,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. There's actually a lot of protein in plants that are not nuts. If you can have them cooked, you do not want to eat raw chickpeas. They're not that great. Kind of nasty.
No. I'm learning to cook some new things. It's pretty awesome.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm becoming a master at seasonings.
And we're putting together a vegan pantry for Nerdvana because there's just nothing around here that's easy to find allergen-free stuff. And so far, the response rate has been amazing, probably because I've eaten it all myself. I am our best advocate. We got vegan M&Ms in today, and I'm so excited. They're so good.
Oops.
I've already opened 3 packs, so we need to actually sell some.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all that we have. What'd you think there, Peanut Gallery?
Peanut Gallery.
Good.
I'll give you your $10 later.
Val Pope messaged me because she can't do the thing there because they're watching it on their TV. And she said, "This has been amazing. A fresh reminder. The two of you separately are amazing, but together you're exponential." Aw.
Thank you, Val.
We love you too, Val. Your check's in the mail. I think that is about it.
Unlike most people, we buy our testimonials.
Anybody that's new here, that's a joke.
It is a joke. All right. Well, thank you all very much. We appreciate your feedback and hope you got something out of this. One thing, just a technical FYI. One thing that I've been doing is scheduling or updating the link for the current trainings on the day of the next training. That way, if you click the link, you'll have access to the YouTube replay for the entire week until the day of. And ultimately, I'll be uploading the videos for the ones that I'm recording on my main screen as well, and the slides. And
That's
that'll
in the members area, right?
Yeah, well, it's a members
open
area,
members
but it's an
area.
open members area. Yeah. So anyway, you will have access to the replays for the entire week just by clicking on the webinar link in the easy whatever this is called, Expert Media Webinars.
.com.
Yeah. So anyway, you know what I mean.
I think your brain is done for the day.
I'm a guy. I've used up all my words for the day.
I don't think just that applies to just guys.
So anyway, enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. For those of you who are joining me for the AI art creation training tomorrow, we are going to get started at 10 a.m. Eastern time, so bright and shiny. And I figure each lesson is probably going to be, I'm planning on about an hour and a half, which you know how that can go. So that way I figure even if we go 2 hours, that still gives us an hour break between, but I don't think it's going to happen. So we'll see. We're going to play it by ear.
I just won't text you at all tomorrow.
Yeah. Just ignore me.
Sounds like a plan. I'll ignore you all day.
So anyway, enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. And I'll see you tomorrow or see you next week. So enjoy the rest of your night.
Bye.